Hey YouTube, down here in the Flat Earth Chicken House. Thought I'd make a little video today. It's raining out, so I figured we haven't been down in the Flat Earth Chicken House for a while. I wanted to talk about sea level again. I talked about it in my first couple videos, and wasn't real comfortable yet with making videos. And since then, I've put out a lot of vids and gained some subscribers, so I wanted to talk about this sea level thing. Especially I got into this thread with this. I'm pretty sure it turned out it was a troll the other day about sea level. He was trying to say something was above sea level, and that's why the curvature thing didn't work when the guy was trying to prove that he could see over a distance. So I think it was windmills or something. But so he pointed out, he said, well, these windmills were 150 feet above sea level, which I never really, went back and, did the math for the curvature of that video, but I just got into it with him, but the fact that he used the term sea level. Well, it's actually impossible if the ocean is sticking to a ball and it has this magical curve where the surface of the ocean curves at a perfect curvature rate around the globe. How can they come up with any elevations above sea level? And I talked about this before. If anywhere you're standing on a globe, it's curving down and away from you. So the ocean is curved, they're telling us, and yet we know that it's not from all the experiments that the flat earthers have done, looking at landmarks and things across water. So people never think about sea level, such and such elevation above sea level. Well, you're getting somewhere way inland, away from the sea. There's no way that they can calculate what the elevation is if the ocean's curved, even close to the sea. I mean, are they saying if right where the water meets the land? Well, the land is all uneven. So every single spot of land is going to be different than every other spot of land as far as where the ocean meets it, because it's curving in every direction. It's not just curving in one direction. It curves in every single direction on a globe model. So there's no way that you can have a sea level. And these idiots try to tell me, well, level does not mean flat, but it doesn't matter. You cannot come up with elevations inland, even close to even right next to the ocean. How can there be a sea level? And these guys talk about, well, they use the average level. Of what? Of the entire ocean from one continent to the other? And then they average it. How do you average it out? It's a curve. It makes absolutely no sense. So you try to point this out, and I wish some other flat earthers would talk about this, because it's so obvious to me that when they survey, it's called sea level because it is level. And level, yes, level is flat. They try to tell you that level is parallel to the curve or something. Anybody with any common sense who's ever built anything, who's ever used the level, knows that level is flat. I mean, it's simple. That's how it's defined. But these guys will jump through any hoops to defy logic that somehow they can measure elevations from a curved ocean and call it, 1,000 feet above sea level. You're 1,000 miles inland, 2,000 miles inland. I talked about it last time. If you guys want to laugh, go to, just do a YouTube search, what is sea level? And see what comes up. What comes up first usually is this minute physics thing, where the guy talks real fast, so, the dummies don't have time to think about what he's saying. First he says, oh, if the Earth was flat, it'd be real easy. Yeah, it is flat, so it is easy. That's how surveyors do it. They don't account for curvature. When I talked to that scientist, he said, oh, well, no, when you level out the transit, that's accounting for curvature. But on this minute physics thing, it's like, well, if the Earth was a perfect globe, it'd be easy because we just measure from the center of the Earth. How are you going to do that? You're trying to find an elevation, so how do you measure to the center of the Earth? You're trying to find an elevation above sea level. So what is measure, and how do you measure to the center of the Earth from where you are if you're trying to find the elevation of something? If you had someone on the very center of the Earth that you could, run a tape measure from him somehow, maybe that would work. But there is no guy standing at the center of the Earth with a tape measure. So none of it makes sense. There can't be sea level on a curved ocean. There's no way they could come up with any elevation above sea level on a curved sea. But they'll try to explain. Their cognitive dissonance. This to me is so obvious. As I've worked with the surveyor for a few years, and pouring concrete floors and using levels, and spending time on the ocean, spending time on lakes, we know that the surface of the water is flat, and when they say something is above sea level, that's what they mean, above the level sea. None of these surveyors or anything, the only people that possibly come up with this magical stuff about geodetic gravity and all that are people lately who have to deal with flat earthers. In the old days when people were surveying, even not that long ago, when anybody was surveying, they never thought about allowing for the curvature of the Earth. I don't care how far they were surveying. When they just put the rod on the benchmark, which USGS or somebody started at the ocean and started surveying their way in, and they take an average along the coastline of the level of the sea, because you have high tides and low tides, which are not caused by the moon's gravitational pull, by the way, because that makes no sense either. As we know, if the moon is so strong that it can pull oceans. The gravity is so strong it can pull oceans, across the entire world twice a day, 4 times a day, really, back and forth. And yet it won't pull a puddle or a pond or a swamp or anything. So that doesn't make any sense. But think about it, and it just seems obvious once you start to try to figure out how they could possibly come up as surveyor, which just use lines of sight. You're looking in a straight line from one point to the other, from your transit to your rod, to your elevation mark. That's not a curve. You're looking in a straight line. You're shooting in a straight line, and there's no way. The geodetic scientist I was talking to said, well, they take the average sea level. How do you average a sea level? From what? You have to have a starting point. If you don't have a starting point, if they say, well, it's the center of the Earth, but you're not at the center of the Earth. You don't know where that starting point of the center of the Earth is. Well, somehow you're going to calculate it because you think you know the circumference, so you're going to calculate it from the surface down to the center of the Earth. But then if you're trying to take an elevation, then from where you're starting from is going to be different in every spot, unless it's a flat plane. But it's one of those circular logic things they use that you cannot explain it. And they'll try and try and try, but any type of logical thinking will tell you if the ocean is curved, there cannot be a sea level, and they cannot come up with any accurate elevations. So I'd like anybody that was hearing this or seeing this to try to share this video, try to share my thoughts with other flat earthers, because to me this seems like a really obvious thing that should be used a lot for flat earth proof. Just like bringing objects across, there's no curvature that we can see above oceans or lakes. So, using the telescope and objects, I think the same thing could be done using elevations and mountains and benchmarks and trying to figure out, just calling these guys out on the fact that, when you say something is so many feet above sea level, have them try to explain how it is that they come up with the term sea level on a curved ocean and a curved planet. It's impossible. It just shows that the ocean is flat and the Earth is flat because they survey as if it's flat. They do not allow. I worked with a surveyor. We never allowed for any curvature. And when they laid all these benchmarks out, a lot of them in the early 1900s, they didn't use any gravity meters, because now they tell us it's not a perfect sphere, it's a oblate spheroid. You know, so I mean, the bull crap just never stops. So, you know, if you guys can, just think about that and use it as flat Earth proof. You know, if you ever get into any threads or, you know, I fed this troll the other day. I don't know why I'm so dumb that I take these guys like I should know to recognize a troll when I see one. But sometimes, you know, sometimes they get me going, and I fed them for, oh, I don't know, 6 or 8 comments. Then I went to his channel and saw a typical troll channel. I noticed with these trolls, you know, we know that a lot of them have like 0 content or very little content, and the content they have is, you know, supposed to back up their thing. This guy had like 1 video of the ISS going overhead, supposedly. But I've also noticed a lot of them are military-style websites that they have. So I don't know if they like a lot of them go from their own websites, and it kind of just backs up what they're doing. A lot of them are either military back or, you know, some of them have like a lot of gun stuff on them, military stuff, and a lot of them are foreign too, I noticed. So I'm not sure why all these trolls have that in common, but I think maybe military guys, you know, they get paid by the CIA and stuff. But you know, this guy was definitely a troll, but I fed him for a while. Then I just said bye, troll, and that was it. But yeah, you know, think about it and try if you can share this, because I think it's an important flat Earth proof. Of trying to just have them point out how is it that they come up with sea level, because I would think anybody with any kind of logical brain, and that you start thinking about it and just visualizing a curved ocean and surveying and line of sight, that it's just a really obvious proof that they survey as if everything's flat, and sea level is called sea level because it's flat. I mean, so that's it. I mean, it's a big flat Earth proof. I wanted to revisit the topic and see if I could get some more people to view it and share it maybe, and just think about it when you're talking to globe heads. Just point out that, you know, sea level on a curved ocean. Just start thinking about that. All right, you guys, comment below. Share this if you want. Let's get the topic rolling through the flat Earth community. Just because I think it could be a really good proof. It is a good proof, but I don't really see anybody talking about it. I mean, we talk about the same things all the time, and telescopes and landmarks going over the flat ocean, but I think, you know, sea level and elevation just as much of a proof. All right, you guys, have a great day. I love you all very much, and hope to hear from you soon. Bye now.